Hello and welcome to Voices of BlueScope, where we meet the people who work behind the scenes at BlueScope to create strength every day. I'm your host, Martin Feld. Thank you for joining us. In this episode, we're giving you a taste of our 2020 annual general meeting. This AGM was a significant one in our company's history, as it was our first ever to be held entirely online, with speakers split across studios in Melbourne and Sydney and shareholders submitting their questions virtually. Like many other companies and industries that have had to adapt, we shifted to this online format to ensure broad accessibility during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whether you couldn't join us on the day or would like to revisit some of what was said, this episode includes excerpts of the official addresses made by our chair, Mr. John Bevan, and Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Mark Vassella, followed by a behind-the-scenes interview. We turn first to John Bevan, who discusses topics such as BlueScope's performance, promoting careers in STEM, and involvement in responsible steel.
It goes without saying that COVID-19 has presented massive challenges for our business, not to mention its effect on the global economy and our very way of life. On behalf of BlueScope's Board of Directors, I convey our hope that you have been able to keep safe and well during this extraordinary time. Throughout the pandemic, BlueScope has proven the resilience in its earnings, the quality of its cash flow, and the strength of its balance sheet. This was reinforced today. We released an update to the market advising that we now expect underlying earnings before interest and tax of around $475 million for the first half of 2020, an increase of around 80% over the second half of 2020. With demand strength, particularly in the Australian business, continuing to outpace our expectations, this is a further improvement over the update we gave to the market on the 23rd of October. In addition, our major investment project at North Star BlueScope Steel is on track, and as a result, our group cash flow remains robust and the balance sheet continues to be in excellent condition. The directors and I commend all 14,000 BlueScope people for the way they have adapted to this year's disruption, while safely maintaining operations and keeping supply chains open to ensure deliveries to our customers. As the pandemic hit, your company acted promptly and decisively. In April, we had rescheduled the North Star expansion to minimise cash spend. We'd reduced all non-essential capital expenditure, ceased non-essential operating spend, and cancelled the on-market share buyback program. We also took steps to reinforce our strong liquidity position, working with our syndicated banking group to improve core funding lines and put in place a strong liquidity buffer to withstand a range of economic and market scenarios. These were prudent measures, and they were the right thing to do at that time. They have helped BlueScope maintain its strong financial position today, despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, and the board is pleased with how we are prepared to face 2021. Being resilient and building a sustainable future is central to our evolving corporate strategy, which aims to transform and grow BlueScope while continuing to deliver on core expectations for stakeholders. BlueScope's 2020 sustainability report was released in September this year, highlighting the company's progress towards its 5 outcomes that reflect the sustainable challenges and opportunities of most importance to our stakeholders and to BlueScope's longer-term success. These are a strong and sustainable business, a safe and inclusive workplaces, climate change action, responsible products and supply chains, and strong communities. We continue to make progress on building diversity in the workplace and seek to build our diversity pipeline through targeted initiatives and the promotion of careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Women now comprise 21% of BlueScope's total workforce, 37% of new recruits, and more than 40% of our executive leadership team and board. We continue to lead Responsible Steel, the steel industry's first global multi-stakeholder standard and certification program, focused on the responsible sourcing and production of steel. The company has committed our largest global manufacturing site, the Port Kembla Steelworks, to the Responsible Steel Standard and Certification Scheme by the end of 2021. At BlueScope, we see a strong future for steel and, in turn, a strong future for our company. Steel's strength, durability, adaptability and recyclability make it a material of choice for buildings, infrastructure, lightweight transport applications and clean energy infrastructure. This was best illustrated last week when the New South Wales Government announced plans to develop renewable energy zones and to use local manufacturing materials like steel, cement and aluminium to expand the state's renewable energy grid. Taking action on climate change is a key pillar of our corporate strategy and the focus of BlueScope's new Climate Change Council, established during the year. BlueScope supports the Paris Agreement on climate change, recognising that the global economy must transition to net zero by the middle of the century to limit global increases in temperature to well below 2 degrees. For the steel sector to contribute, we recognise that the future of iron and steel making will need to be centred around breakthrough technology. BlueScope is exploring technologies to understand the scale of emissions reduction that they might deliver, potential costs and timeframes, and the barriers and enablers to implementation.
We now turn to Mark Vassella, who covers some of the measures that have been taken to adapt to the COVID-19 pandemic, along with our company's purpose and exciting changes to our brand identity.
Today, BlueScope updated the market about our first half 21 underlying earnings outlook, a terrific result for the company. All operating segments are performing well, and momentum has continued to build as we approach the end of the first half of 21. Residential alterations and additions activity, demand for detached new housing, and growth in demand for e-commerce, warehouse and logistics facilities are all robust. And the US automotive industry demand is recovering strongly. Demand strength, particularly in the Australian market, has continued to outpace our expectations. We now expect that Australian construction and manufacturing activity will remain strong, driving elevated domestic steel dispatches for the balance of the first half of 21. Our confidence is underpinned by recent positive federal and state government initiatives to combat the economic impact of the pandemic and to address the longer-term challenges of climate change. Firstly, the New South Wales and Victorian governments permitted BlueScope to continue to operate in a COVID-safe manner throughout the lockdowns, and our dispatches helped secure the building and construction industry. State governments have also boosted infrastructure spending, including the Victorian government's recent announcement that it will spend around $5 billion building social housing. The federal government has recognised that the national gas and electricity markets are not operating effectively, and has announced further measures to ensure domestic manufacturers have guaranteed supply and competitive prices. And last week, the New South Wales Government launched its renewable energy zones, a wind and solar power investment plan based on locally manufactured product, plant and equipment. BlueScope welcomed this with news of our own $20 million BlueScope Renewables manufacturing zone at the Port Kembla Steelworks to encourage innovation and co-investment for new products and services in this emerging market. Our purpose is we create and inspire smart solutions in steel to strengthen our communities for the future. Our purpose sets the course for BlueScope and gives us the courage and confidence to deliver what matters to our communities around the world, building a valuable and sustainable business for years to come. Our purpose is also central to our evolving strategy and the key areas of activity we have identified to ensure our enduring success. That strategy commits us to 3 areas of activity. Firstly, to transform BlueScope to deliver a step change in customer experience and business performance, including through digital technology and our approach to climate change and sustainability. With technologies and data becoming more accessible and more affordable, we have an exciting opportunity to find new ways to improve performance and customer experience. An example is capturing data across our operational processes, making it possible to predict quality issues, which can both improve the customer experience and deliver cost savings. Transform also includes our commitment to reduce our carbon footprint and delivering on a range of technology transformation projects, which allow sites to undertake local initiatives such as reducing the energy intensity of their operations. Secondly, our strategy will see us grow our portfolio of sustainable steelmaking and world-leading coating, painting and steel product businesses, creating new opportunities, anticipating and responding to local market trends. Steelmaking remains central to our strategy, and we have a strong strategic focus in maximising the value of these important assets, expanding North Star and optimising our Australian and New Zealand steel businesses. And we will deliver a safe workplace, an adaptable organisation and strong returns, building a business capable of meeting the challenges of the future. Today I'm delighted to also unveil another important signal of change, our new brand identity. This includes a refreshed logo and brand colours and a coherent look and feel across our communication and platforms. Our brand identity is an important signal for our people, our customers and our investors about who we are. And who we are is evolving and continually adapting. The changes you'll see over the next few months reflect this important evolution and the modern and purpose-led organisation we're becoming. Our people have done all they can to keep our sites operating, to keep producing our steel products and to keep serving our customers, and all along managing the balance with commitments outside work which have been magnified by the pandemic. I hope you'll join me in looking forward to BlueScope continuing to create strength for the future. Thank you.
As a final bonus segment, we're now going to hear a behind-the-scenes interview with John Bevan by Michael Reay, Manager Corporate Affairs at BlueScope. They reflect on the experience of shifting such an important event to an online format and how it will inform future communication with the various stakeholders.
And we're here behind the scenes at our 2020 AGM up in Sydney. I'm joined here by our chair, Mr. John Bevan. How are you, John?
I'm terrific, thank you. We've had a really good response from shareholders today. And who would have thought 12 months ago that we would be actually doing an online version of our AGM? In fact, after last year's AGM, we made the decision that we'd actually hold it at Port Kembla. And that's where I hope we get to next year.
Well, maybe we can revisit that one in person next year.
I hope so.
But it seemed to go all right online?
Yeah, I think everything went very well. Lots of organisation. Half the team in Melbourne, half the team in Sydney. A few directors, one director overseas and one couldn't make it today but was online. So very, very different from the past. But I think, there's some real advantages for this because I think a lot of shareholders can actually participate, ask questions and not actually have to turn up on the day. So I think there'll be elements of this sort of setup will stay in regular AGMs going forward.
Very good. And what were the most topical themes? What were the couple of things that kept coming through in the questions today?
Well, a lot of the speeches and a lot of the questions relate to our position on climate change, and the company's made a lot of good progress in setting goals and actually achieving them. So very pleased with progress there, and I think shareholders understand that that's a big challenge for us and we just need to keep working hard at it and keep communicating all the good work that we are doing.
And also a market update today as well, so good news. We're making more money in the first half than we thought. That's great.
We're all surprised just how strong demand is across all of our geographies. The pandemic has created a whole lot of hurt for many, many parts of the community, but there are other parts of the community that are actually working very hard to deliver products like ours, which, frankly, we didn't expect this level of demand 6 months ago.
No, it's a fabulous result. Well, well done. Great job on chairing your first online AGM for BlueScope. We look forward to doing it in person next year.
Thank you.
That brings us to the end of this episode. For more information on what you've just heard, make sure to visit the show notes in your browser or podcast player. You'll find links to content such as our dedicated AGM webpage with extended speeches. There are also photos and posts from the day, our 2020 sustainability report, and case studies for our sustainability outcomes. For other news and updates, go to bluescope.com, visit BlueScope on LinkedIn, or follow @BlueScope on Twitter. Thank you for listening to Voices of BlueScope. Until next time.